Accessibility to different food has become a huge problem for government and for people. We are expected to produce more food, but resources and land are limited. Food production is very important. Italy has a very strong tradition in food science. Cattolica is the largest private university in Europe. We had a brand new campus. It's a very nice environment. 50% of the students that are from abroad are not Italian. We receive more job offers from companies than the number of students we graduate.
My name is Darryl Fong. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of AECC. Welcome to the AECC podcast series. There's a dire need for efficient and sustainable food production and processing. Climate changes are forcing innovation in precision farming, drought-resistant crops, and vertical farming. Agriculture technology and food-related degrees have been cited as one of the fastest growing and excellent fields of study, especially as the world faces challenges mentioned earlier on, such as climate change, population growth, and food security. Well, if you're interested in technology, sustainability, and global impact, this is the high-growth, future-proof field with meaningful careers opportunities. I'm pleased to introduce our guest speaker for the session. Professor Lucini is the Director of MS in Food Processing Innovation and Tradition, offered by the School of Agriculture, Food and Environmental Sciences at the Università Cattolica di Sacro. Professor Lucini, welcome. Would you mind please introduce yourself briefly to our audience?
Yeah, as you were mentioning, I'm the coordinator of the master degree in food processing. I'm a biochemist by formation, and I coordinate a research group that deals with metabolomics. It is an analytical approach for food fingerprinting that has been used for several aims. So I carry out, together with my research group, actively research in food science, mainly food metabolomics, as I was mentioning. And I coordinate from this as a president, this master degree.
Professor, as I mentioned earlier on, food science, food processing, and agriculture technology are growing, especially in many countries' future manpower planning. Why do you think there's such a huge demand and emphasis on it by the government?
Yeah, it's a very good question because it's something that is not well perceived by the population. And I had a chance to travel for my work across different countries, including Southeast Asia, South America, not only Europe and US. And one main issue is for sure food security, as you mentioned it before. But there is also another issue that is globally, some countries do not produce some foods. And this has been particularly clear during the COVID period, when product exchange was reduced because of the lockdown or the problems related to COVID-19. Well, in that period, several countries faced problems to get some type of food. So food security, of course, is the main part, but also nutrition in general and accessibility to different food has become a huge problem for government and for people, and was clear already before, but this has made very clear how and why food production is very important. We will eat every year in the next future. It's not something that's going to change, of course.
Thank you. And Professor, would you mind sharing with us what's the differences between these three areas of study: food production, food processing, and agriculture technology?
Yeah, food science is a somehow generic term that includes several aspects that come from nutrition to food production, food supply chain. Agricultural science is just before, but is part of the same story. So agricultural sciences are what comes before food transformation and food as we used to have it. Food processing is the ability to transform. So food science is the general term. Agricultural sciences come first and food processing comes later. Of course, when we speak about food processing, we are referring to design of foods. We are referring to not only production, strictly speaking, but also marketing, consumer acceptance, functional aspects that are becoming more and more important nowadays because consumers, fortunately, I have to say, look in this direction. And it also includes safety aspects. We can read on papers so often problems that are related to food intake, health problems that can arise. So all these aspects are part of food processing. And when I say food processing, it's not only producing, but producing in a sustainable way, enough, with quality, and in a health promoting perspective.
Thank you. And what advice would you give to students when choosing these degrees to study, particularly in the areas which course would suit their background and also their strengths?
Yeah, this is an area that mainly relates with the food industry and food production in general, and the background they get is a multidisciplinary. Food science is by definition very, very multidisciplinary, and the skills, the background that are graduated in this master expected to have aspects that are at the beginning are not considered by non-experts, are not considered food science, like when you speak about food supply chain, or you speak about economics or consumer psychology in approaching novel foods. These are all aspects that are still part of food science. Okay, with this equipment, this amount of raw products enter and this amount of final product exits. Yes, it's also this, but it's much, much more than this. We have chemistry aspects, we have microbiological aspects, we have functional food health promoting aspects. We have also sustainability, because due to the increase in the population worldwide, we are expected to produce more food, but resources and land are limited. So the only way is to increase our sustainability. And this is clear in several big companies nowadays. So all these aspects are a multidisciplinary background, at least at the beginning, is not directly related to food science.
Okay. Well, the next question is about location. Professor, what do you think the audience should consider Italy as the perfect destination to study these programs? Which also led me to notice that which campuses these programs are taught. I noticed that the school that delivers the MSc, the BSc and the PhD programs are at two of the campuses in Piacenza and Cremona, which is at the heart of the Italian food valley. And the MS in Food Processing Innovation Tradition is specifically taught at the Cremona campus. Would you mind sharing with us why specific programs are taught at different campuses?
Yeah, because we try to differentiate, and in particular in Cremona, we try to invest into English taught courses, and not only food processing, I'm the president of, but there are also courses of economics. So we had a brand new campus. It's a very, very nice environment because it comes from a very historical building that has been completely renewed recently. So nice environment in an area, as you were mentioning, the food valley, very, very close in the surrounding. We also have industries. And the idea is that since a master degree should provide professional for industry, it's very important to keep the connection also with the industries, and we have a lot of them. So it's a relatively small city, very easy to live in a nice campus, and in an area that is the food valley for Italy. So Italy has a very strong tradition in food science, like several countries have been visiting in Southeast Asia. So complex food, our tradition, there are several aspects. Our tradition and the new perspective, because the market is global now. In Cremona, we find a relatively small city compared to big cities where it is very easy and safe to live in. Everything is reachable, often also in walking distance, but where there are also international environments. So it's not only English taught, but we have more or less around 50% of the students that are from abroad, are not Italian. So it's really international. And we have also some other master degree in English. So it's also nice to have a community that can easily interact, because the student experience, of course, I'm a professor at university, so my duty is to teach biochemistry in this case, but to provide with knowledge, skills. But at the same time, it's also important in the perspective of a student that they can find an environment where they can live easily, where a proper environment can better support their learning experience. And in Cremona, we can have this environment because of the reasons I was mentioning.
That's good. Professor, can you please elaborate about Cattolica international standing, its collaboration and research in the area of teaching?
Okay, Cattolica is the largest private university in Europe, actually, and since the very beginning has been founded by a professor of medicine in 1 century ago, was a researcher, and that understood the importance of having institutions in which teaching and research come together. And this was the philosophy from the very beginning. This is the philosophy we are still perceiving now. This is the way we want to go on. Cattolica, therefore, because it's a private university, so is somehow obliged to be open and international. We have to provide very high quality of teaching, and this comes together with a very high quality of research, not only the connection with the industries, but also research funded by public bodies and so on. And good research is multidisciplinary and international. So for that reason, we have collaborations both at teaching level and at research level with universities worldwide. I can mention the very most of countries in South America, of course, US and Canada, Europe, basically all the countries, Northern Africa, Southeast Asia, China, and Australia. So, of course, with different topics in different universities, but it's a university that really want and believe it's essential to be international. It's in our soul to be international.
That's cool. Professor, you've already stated why Italy is the choice for the student to consider. But what other advice would you give to students when it comes to choosing institutions that offer these degrees? Are there any specifics that they should look into, like the caliber of the teaching staff, the facilities, or the recognition bodies of the degrees?
Yeah, I know that outside Italy, people often rely on ranking. Ranking are important, but provide just part of the picture. There are 2 points you just mentioned that are essential, I think, in general, if I would be a student to consider where to study. One is the level of the staff. There is a list provided by Stanford University that is the 2% most influential scientists worldwide. Every year is renewed, and 45% of our professors belong to this list. Just to give you an idea, this comes together with the research aspects I was mentioning before. Of course, it's part of the same story, but this is a measurable parameter that support the quality of teaching. Having a good background help professors to transfer this background to students. So not really teaching the classical lecture you can read in a book, but providing also experiences and new perspective, because the market changes very fast. And if you're active in research, you can go in line with the time that is changed. The second point you mentioned that is very, very, very important, facilities. I mentioned before the campus, that is a brand new, very nice campus with green area, with spaces for students and what is really needed. And the second point are facilities for teaching and for research. Classes are fully multimedial, and we have also labs in which students can really hands-on experience chemistry, biochemistry, microbiology, food technology, rheology, the aspects that are also in classes. And we have also pilot plants. Those pilot plants are essential because from one side, pilot plants for dairy, for meat, for bakery, for extrusion, for the classical approaches that defined in classes. But having those pilot plants is essential for the students to be more prepared when they reach the industry. And at the same time, this is a platform in which our students and industries can work on a common aspect. In these pilot plants, together with professors, students can do their thesis work, and they have the option to do this work together, and starting from problems, from aspects that come from the industry. This is essential to have a really effective perspective and to be more effective entering the job market.
Thank you. Professor, what are the current job opportunities for food-related degrees?
Yeah, this is a funny story that I like to tell you. We receive more job offers from companies we are working with than the number of students we graduate. And this is something I really like to stress out, because this is to say that the job market there's this type of figures. This master degree has been designed together with an advisory committee made by industries. And the idea is to prepare professionals for industry. So, of course, also industries then need professionals with an international perspective, because even small, medium enterprises now are present worldwide. So the market is very broad. Even the small companies here close to my city. And these companies need professionals with skills, international perspective, and with the profile that is useful, so they're broad enough, multidisciplinary enough, to be able to manage the different aspects in a given company. So job positions are there, but sometimes I'm afraid I cannot propose students because it would be also nice for our university. This is the situation. It's totally non-perceived by other people, but this is really what is happening.
That's good. And Professor, what are the scope and assessment of the programs in terms of learning expectations? Are there any fieldwork, internship, etc., which is part of their course assessment?
Yeah, I just mentioned it before some aspects, but maybe it's useful to recall. Starting from classes, we try not to have the classical teaching classes that sometimes in Europe is present, so that a professor enters in the class, explains, and then go out. But we also involve practical working groups, practical classes in lab, seminars by industry professionals, maybe on specific topics, And the assessment also, of course, is in line with this type of teaching. Instead of the internship, we have a thesis that is the fourth semester. It's 30 credits. It's also a large amount of credits because this fourth semester is entirely dedicated to the thesis work that are supposed to be experimental, relatively large part of activities, hopefully together with industries. At least we propose this option, and normally students are very happy to have a thesis in collaboration with industries. They stay in our university, maybe they also spend some time in the industry, but the activity comes from the need of the industries. We have a system that is called Agora. Agora means, it's a Greek word that means a square. In this virtual square, universities and industries are met because industries propose activities and our students have the possibility to take this topic as their thesis work.
That's great. Well, lastly, Professor, as a staff at the universities, would you mind sharing why students should consider studying food science and agriculture courses at Cattolica in 2026 and beyond?
Like a summary of my previous points, I think that the quality of teaching, quality of professor, and the main aim is the student experience. So student experience comes from a nice environment, need to include also the proper skills to be effective in the market, to build up professionals. And Cattolica, since it's private, strongly want to invest into the quality of teaching and the experience of the student. This has to be for any university. Even more probably for private universities. This student experience comes when you can teach the proper topics in a smart way by teachers that are skilled and promoting also what we call soft skills. So the ability to speak in public, to be effective when you have to present your results, maybe in the company you will be working on in the very next future. All these aspects make professionals that they can enter the food industry with a manager position, so not really executing activities. This is not our aim, but people that have a perspective broad enough to manage the whole food production system that is, as I was mentioning before, really multidisciplinary.
Thank you. Well, on behalf of all of us at AECC, thank you very much for your time, Professor Lucini, for sharing your advice and knowledge. Thank you.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.